TV7 Israel News is made possible thanks to your generous donations. Shalom, Erev Tov, good evening. This is TV7 Israel News broadcast to you from Jerusalem. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu approves the IDF's plans for conquering Gaza City. European nations voice outrage over Israel's plans to build a new neighborhood next to Jerusalem. The United Nations voices the alarm over Damascus's belligerent massacres against Druze and Christians in Southern Syria. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced yesterday that he had instructed Israeli negotiators to discuss a proposal in which all of the hostages are to be released and the war ends on terms acceptable to Israel, and that the plans for conquering Gaza City were being approved.
We are in the decision-making phase. I arrived in the Gaza division today to approve the plans that the IDF presented to me and the Minister of Defense for taking over Gaza City and defeating Hamas. I greatly appreciate the readiness of the reserve soldiers and of course the regular army for this vital goal. At the same time, I have instructed to begin immediate negotiations for the release of all our hostages and an end to the war on terms acceptable to Israel. These two things, defeating Hamas and releasing all our hostages, go hand in hand.
According to circulating reports, the Israeli delegation is expected to leave for Qatar on Tuesday. Meanwhile, in the Gaza Strip, IDF Chief of General Staff Lieutenant General Eyal Zamir met with his field commanders and troops of the Kfir Brigade and Armored Corps in the southern Gazan city of Khan Yunis. A day after 14 Palestinian terror operatives attacked the post which the IDF chief was visiting, during the course of which one IDF soldier sustained serious injuries, while 9 of the terrorists who were attacking were eliminated, General Zamir highlighted the importance of maintaining vigilance and commended the troops for successfully repelling the attack.
A terror attack that was prevented here, yesterday. I tell you again, I appreciate you and your troops very much, including the manner in which you operated. We must amplify vigilance. The guerrilla approach and skirmishes will undoubtedly accompany us moving forward. In the immediate period, we must be prepared in a very high level and preparedness to thwart any incident. In parallel, I trust you to show initiative in the offense and that you create your own operations, based on intelligence and your situational assessments, for the purpose of operating in every place in a very strong manner.
General Zamir further underscored that if the troops were not deployed in the path of the terrorists, the attack would have taken place in Israel's civilian communities across the border.
If you weren't present here, and I emphasize this to you, this terror cell would have gone to the communities, it would have continued to the border. The fact that you are here, you are the armor, you are those who defend the communities, and it is good that the terrorists reach you and not our civilians, because this is our job. Our job is to be here and contend with these attacks, repel and kill them.
General Zamir continued by noting the call-up of tens of thousands of IDF reserve troops ahead of the large-scale offensive that is planned for Gaza City.
Tens of thousands of reserve orders for the purpose of intensifying our operation and additional forces that will be added here in the near period. The reserve forces are doing holy work together with you. Behind every such reserve soldier, and you know this best, stands his family. We appreciate them and call upon them when we have no other choice and require to. We are calling on them now.
The IDF Chief of General Staff concluded his remarks by mentioning his assessment that the war versus Hamas in Gaza will continue for a long period of time. Meanwhile, in Israel, a group of hostage families held a press conference in protest, calling on Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to succumb to Hamas's demands and return the hostages now.
There's a deal on the table. This is the opening we need for a comprehensive deal. We must sign it immediately. We welcome every hostage who returns and every family reunites with their loved ones. Time is running out. The hostages cannot survive much longer in the hand of these brutal captors. We cannot support more fighting.
Dalia Kusnir, who is the sister-in-law of hostage Eitan Hon, continued by insisting that the only way for Israel to heal is by returning all of the hostages immediately, while further calling upon the Trump administration to do everything in its power that Jerusalem would sign the deal with no delay.
President Trump, Ambassador Witkoff, you have stood by us for so long. We now need you to do whatever you can to get this deal signed. President Trump, you want peace, you want to end wars. Only you can end this before it's too late. We need this deal signed now.
It is important to know that in the latest statement by President Donald Trump on his Truth Social platform, the American leader asserted, quote, "We will only see the return of the remaining hostages when Hamas is confronted and destroyed. The sooner this takes place, the better the chances of success will be." Meanwhile, in Britain and Finland, respectively, the Israeli ambassadors were called in and reprimanded last night over the ongoing war in the Gaza Strip, as well as for Jerusalem's decision to approve construction plans in the highly contentious E1 area, which is situated between the town of Ma'ale Adumim and Israel's capital, Jerusalem. It is important to explain that Israel's civil administration's Supreme Planning Committee approved plans to build new neighborhoods in Area E1 to include 3,400 new housing units. This decision was made in the wake of Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich's efforts to have the settlement formally recognized, particularly after France triggered an international call for recognition of a Palestinian state. The committee also advanced provisional construction plans in Asael, which is in the Hebron area. The plans include the construction of an additional 342 housing units, as well as public structures and infrastructure. The decision to approve the plans drew condemnations across many Western nations who view E1 as instrumental for the internationally aspired two-state solution. Turning to the United Nations headquarters in New York, where the UN Security Council held a meeting on the situation in Syria, including in relation to the massacres which the Damascus regime and its allies perpetrated against Druze and Christians in the governorate of Sweden, murdering over 2,000 individuals while wounding over 7,000 others and kidnapping an estimated 570 individuals, to include 159 women and 13 children.
The humanitarian cost of recent violence has only escalated. Over 185,000 people have been displaced across Sweden, Dara, and the rural Damascus and beyond. Many are living in precarious conditions with extensive damage to infrastructure compounding their plight.
The UN envoy to Syria continued by highlighting that since the tense ceasefire that was forced upon Damascus after Israel had intervened in support of the Druze and Christians in Sweden, the situation remains tense, with repeated violations by the Damascus-backed forces reported.
In Sweden, the ceasefire agreed on 19 July has come under strain, but so far has prevented a slide back into open conflict. That said, we are still seeing dangerous hostilities and skirmishes on the margins of Sweden, and violence could resume at any moment.
Unabashedly, Damascus's ambassador to the United Nations sought to turn the blame for the Shah regime's heinous atrocities to Israel.
National efforts continue to face a group of complex challenges that negatively affect Syrian reality. at the forefront of which are the aggressive Israeli policies that violate Syria's sovereignty, carry out incursions into its lands, and perpetrate violations against its people, with the quest to weaken the Syrian state and affect its national unity by attacking it outright, setting the fires of discord and fanning the flames of existing tensions.
Meanwhile, the humanitarian situation in Sweda Governorate is deteriorating, with acute deficiency of drinking water, wheat, fuel, and medicine. Thank you for watching TV7 Israel News. As ever, please keep praying for the 50 hostages, to include up to 20 of them who are believed to be alive, who've now endured 686 days in brutal Hamas captivity in the Gaza Strip. Pray also for the Druze and Christians in Southern Syria. And also, please pray for the peace of Jerusalem and salvation of Israel. Also, separately, if you're blessed by our daily program, since TV7 Israel is exclusively donation-based, any contribution will help us share the truth from Jerusalem. You can donate via our website at www.tv7IsraelNews.com. I'm Jonathan Hassan, wishing you a Shabbat Shalom u'Mevorach, and God willing, we'll see you during our next update. Until then, Shalom from Jerusalem.